Hey everyone, our first guest today is Josh Hager, who is my personal coach at St. Vincent, and he brings a lot of perspective from coaching in a bunch of different places throughout the country. I think you guys can learn something from today.
I finally got my head right. I move in silence, you won't catch me in them headlights. And they love to say they love you if they need some. If they see you moving solid and your bread's right. I finally got my head right. I move in silence, you won't catch me in them headlights. And they love to say they love you if they need some. If they see you moving solid and your bread's right. Pick up the county, put it down for the town.
Well, how you been? Thanks for hopping on with me. How the girls doing? How's coaching? How's life?
Well, the kids are tremendous. I mean, my oldest is done with PT school and been working for 2 years now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so my wife and my other two kids are here, um, and the 10-year-old, almost 11-year-old, she's in gymnastics, so she has gymnastics practice 12 hours a week. Uh, oh yeah, like it's pretty serious.
Oh, that's legit.
Oh yeah, and so she's got that. She actually in mid-November she finished vision therapy. Basically,
Oh,
it is if you don't know, like haven't had anybody with that and don't know what that is all about. Um, if you would have taken, like when you and I write a lowercase b or a lowercase d, we know which side the bubble goes on or the circle. Well, when your eyes aren't working correctly, you typically have it like the line goes right down the middle of the bubble because your eyes don't work right. And so, like when she first started, she would be doing stuff and her eyes would be both pointed straight ahead. And then one of them, while she was trying to stay focused on that, would just like it would start doing what my finger is right now. And then it'd go, Pheep, and then it would come back. And so she couldn't see, like she played softball and honest to God, she'd lose the ball.
oh
Well,
my gosh.
because she couldn't, like, yeah, it's horrible. And, I'm sitting there telling her that, you have to focus and blah, blah, blah. And like getting on her because her grades aren't as good as I expected them to be and all that. And then I find out, oh, really? You're such a jerk. Your kid can't see, dude. You're such a dumb.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I suck as a dad. And then, they said to my wife when they were talking about doing the whole vision therapy stuff,
Yeah.
like, you can probably have a pretty average life without having vision therapy. And my wife goes, well, I know we're going to be doing it because my wife doesn't want her to have or my husband doesn't want her to have an average life. And I was like, yeah, no doubt. And so $5,000 later, your kid can see right. And then, it just is what it is. So that's part of,
Yeah.
I didn't take the head job at Garden City when they offered it to me, is because my family needed to get the hell up out of there because it's not a great place.
Yeah.
But then my youngest daughter is in 5 dance classes, and like basically between the two daughters, my wife's either at a dance competition or a gymnastics meet, like every weekend, and sometimes both. So yeah,
Hey,
it's
that's
kind of wild.
that's busy though. I like it. That's the
Yeah.
type of person you are for sure.
Well, yeah, and me, as far as coaching goes right now, hopefully they hire a coach in the next week or so, and then I can find out whether I still have this job or have a job here.
Yeah.
Go from there.
Yeah. Did you guys have a full season or anything?
No, we didn't
No,
have.
nothing.
No, we have what would be an incredibly young team.
Yeah.
There's 107 guys on our team right now, and I would tell you that at least 35 of those guys are freshmen. Uh, oh yeah, and then about 25 more are sophomores, maybe
It is a young team.
maybe 30 more. So you're talking about, a vast majority of your team is freshman or sophomore.
Classmen. Yeah, that's
And the
tough.
whole fall in the weight room and gained about 10 pounds per person. So, we needed the mass because I've been coaching for a long time, but I haven't seen a 3 technique or any interior D lineman literally get lifted off of their feet on a double team and planted on their shoulder blades 5 yards downfield before ever. And like, that was the best guy we could put out there. And he was getting freaking put on his back.
So where are you at now?
I'm at Missouri Southern.
Missouri Southern.
It's in Joplin, Missouri. It's basically in the corner of Kansas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. It's not exactly, but it's pretty damn close.
So what has made you just go all over the place?
Jobs?
Just how do you find Missouri Southern? Like, how do you even?
Well, the guy that was the head coach at Garden City got named the head coach here, so I followed him.
Yeah.
And then, he's now fired, so that works out awesome. Because you try to, if you're not the head coach, you try to hitch your wagon to a guy who's gonna rise.
Yeah, that's true.
So like examples, when I was at Central Connecticut State, I wasn't going to get promoted there. And the guy that was the head coach at the time wasn't a guy that I felt like was going to move upward from there.
Sure.
Because he had his own issues and whatever. So I then went to Michigan Tech. Well, the head coach at Michigan Tech wasn't leaving. Like, that was where he was going to retire from.
Yeah.
The DC wasn't leaving because he's from right up there. So I left there and I went to Minnesota Crookston and joined a guy who was his first head coaching job. He'd been at Oklahoma State and Stanford and blah, blah, blah. Like, he should have been a guy that I could get on with, and we improve that program and get another better job and keep moving forward. Well, he had his own issues and whatever, and he got fired. So then I got retained with the rest of the staff because they thought we were good dudes and good coaches. So they made the guy who was the offensive coordinator into the head coach and blah, blah, blah. But I didn't think we were going to win there. And that guy wasn't trying to keep moving up the coaching ladder and end up at a better spot. He was going to probably end up retiring from that job.
Gotcha.
And so I went to St. Norbert, which was the place I was at before St. Vincent.
Sure.
There, I knew they were going to win. And their head coach really didn't have any aspirations of leaving, but I knew we were going to be really good on defense because that was something he believed in, had for a long time. And they had been really good on defense for a long time. So I went there. And so I'd gone from I had coached already in North Dakota in multiple spots. I had coached in Minnesota in a high school. And I ended up going to Central Connecticut, which is in New Britain, outside of Hartford.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I went to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And then I went to Crookston, Minnesota, which is just in the middle of nowhere, Northwest Minnesota. And then I went to De Pere, Wisconsin, which is Green Bay, and was at St. Norbert. And we won both years I was there. We won the conference title and went to the playoffs.
Say you guys were pretty solid there.
Yeah, we lost to the team who took second my first year there, and we lost to Whitewater, the national champions, and we were their closest game in the playoffs. Like, I mean,
yeah,
and like they had to score. They scored with like 16 seconds left to make it 27.
I was gonna say, I remember you showing us film from that game a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah, and like
what brought you to St. Vincent where you and I met? What was it? Just because I know you guys played John Carroll a little bit, right?
We had played Carroll, and so the short version of it is they couldn't run the ball at John Carroll when we were at St. Norbert, but they beat the crap out of us both times because they had
They were good. They were solid.
That he was pretty special, and he, obviously he beat us both years that I coached against him, and obviously he should be pretty special. He transferred from Pitt. I mean, just saying, but
Yeah.
he had they couldn't run the ball. Well, that's because they tried to run the ball out of what we checked Beamer to, and you probably remember that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So long and short, like you're not going to run the ball. We got more people defending the run than you got people to block them. So good luck. And so I wasn't Dulce's first choice. I wasn't even like his third choice, but all the people that he had initially wanted to be his DC had turned him down, and I had applied. So he finally flew me out and interviewed me. And literally I spent like 6 hours on the board and went through everything, like the whole playbook.
Wow.
And he kept asking questions and, blah, blah, blah. And long story short, he still wasn't totally sold because he knew he could tell how I was and who I was, and it wasn't necessarily fired up about hiring me.
I think we all knew that one, right?
Yeah, but he didn't have anybody better, and so eventually he hired me. And I thought, okay, I'm going to work with this dude who's been at John Carroll. He was the offensive coordinator. He's gonna be, he's probably gonna be able to turn this program into something, and we'll be good. And then I'll be able to be pretty happy with this and be able to move forward from here because we'll do good things.
Yeah.
We all saw how that ended up working out, and that's why City. So, and I'm not saying that it was a, I'm really grateful for my time at St. Vincent, but we didn't achieve as much as I had hoped we would be able to. I mean, the last year, we didn't even give up 30 points a game.
No, we were solid on D. I mean, for the most part.
Yeah.
The hardest part for us, the biggest, I would say, the culture at St. Vincent was just so, we were the D3 Blue Mountain State type. Like, we enjoyed it, but when practice is over, we were on to something else, doing other shit. So it wasn't.
Yeah. No, and
explains it.
Yeah, that's why you don't have the kind of success that you would.
Exactly.
And truthfully, like if you look, like we didn't give up very many points, and before I got there, they were giving up over 40, and after I left, the defense gave up over 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it was me because I didn't make any tackles or do anything.
No, but you brought the culture with you. You brought that. For those 2 years we were there, at least as far on the defensive side. Some of the guys we had. we had some dudes that were buying it.
Yeah. And that's how you win is you have to display it as a coach, a teacher, or whatever, anybody who's a mentor to somebody else, they have to constantly display the actions that they are expecting of the people.
Yeah, exactly.
And, long and short. And
so before, no, sorry to cut you off. I had a couple things I wanted to talk to you about. Before I ask anything, I did want to bring up one thing. So I'm not going to talk about all the details about it, but obviously you were on your Garden City when you were there, were on a show on Netflix, all things that ensued after whatever. But the one part that I got to ask you about, and I know it probably pisses you off. I know you guys won, but there's a part that they catch you as you're on the sideline. I think you were up 28-21. You're going out to kick a field goal, and I think you said to your assistant coach, there's a part that they catch you as you're on the sideline. I think you were up 28-21. You're going out to kick a field goal, and you I think you said to your assistant coach, if we kick this field goal, the game's over, done. And you guys went out and missed the field goal.
Yeah, if we had made the field goal, we win the game.
I remember I remember just watching it, and I started dying laughing just because it was like, because it's only centered on you, like on Netflix on the show, just around you, and you hear yourself so clear. You're like, we win this game, or if we make this, game's over.
Yeah,
and sure enough,
because they can't tie it. Like they can't. There's no way for them to tie it, and literally, and you know exactly what we'd have got. We'd have been running Deuce Chocolate and been like, all right,
yeah.
eat up the clock on the way down the field, and guess what? You might score, and it'll be kind of close, and you'll look like you didn't get. Like we kicked your ass.
Yeah,
and that didn't obviously happen. We missed it, and literally had to run. Zero pressure. We were running Bo Ash. I know.
Yeah, the whole time.
And no, just that. The funny part is the majority of the game we played Mac round 10 the whole time. So we were playing quarters.
Really?
Yeah, because they are basically in you do self scout and data analysis and whatever else as a coach at the time. Well, most of what we did put us in middle of the field closed coverage. Well, all their route combinations were for middle of the field closed. So they're looking for some kind of cover 3 or man free. And we played quarters, and they weren't able to run the ball efficiently enough to move the ball down the field and score on us, because they weren't able to. We didn't give them opportunity by not being gap sound and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Take advantage of them. And there were some things that we picked up as far as tendencies go with their formations and alignments and so on and so forth that helped us to know what.
Guys, whenever we were watching that, just felt like kid in a candy store watching you on there and watching Garden City, and just I mean, obviously we all know what happened, but it was just that was wild, that whole.
It's I mean, I've watched it, and I got players here who have asked me questions about it and whatever.
I'm sure.
So, but
yeah. But anyway, a couple things I just wanted to talk to you about real quick. Over, obviously everything that kind of happened in the country in the last year, COVID, presidents, racial justice, everything. My friend and I, he's not here tonight, Terry, we played high school football together. We've just been kind of gathering some voices, gathering some perspectives. We got to talk with Jane Elliott, who did the blue-eyed, brown-eyed exercise back in the 70s. And so my big reason to want to talk to you today is, with, like you talked about earlier, all your experiences, different Michigan, Connecticut, Minnesota, Kansas, Western PA. What has kind of been your, being in sports takeaway, and maybe your approach to talking about things like this? Or do you guys talk about it? Do you see these different things, that these, racial issues that kids are bringing, to the facility and school with them?
Oh, absolutely. You see it. I mean, their experiences are all different.
Mm-hmm.
And, the one thing that I have that they don't is I have experience being 18 years old. They can't tell me what it's like to be my age, but I can tell them what it's like to be their age. And obviously there's some significant differences. I mean, there weren't cell phones when I was a kid, so thankfully, but I made some less than wise choices when I was young. And we all did. So it's not like I'm unique in that by any stretch.
No,
The thing that is most important in all of it is that you build a relationship, a personal relationship with every one of your players. And you have to make sure they understand that the way you're judging them has nothing to do with anything other than their ability to make plays and their work ethic. Because those two things are what are going to show who that young man is. And and so if you'll work your butt off, I got no issue with you. None whatsoever. Now, if you can't play, that doesn't mean you're going to get on the field.
Yeah.
If you'll work, then we have no issues whatsoever. You could earn poor grades, but have worked and done all the things you were supposed to and not attain A's, which obviously is the goal. And we're good. I'm not going to get upset with you. Now, if you skipped class or you didn't turn in an assignment or you didn't really put forth a whole lot of effort, you got a 3 out of 10 on a quiz because you just didn't put forth a whole lot of then we have an issue.
Yeah.
And so, you got to go to class, you have to do all those things, but you're really only judged off your actions. And that's the beautiful thing, in my opinion, about athletics in general anyway, is that when it comes to athletics, the people that play are the ones who've earned it through their production and through their work ethic. Now, the other part that you were talking about in your question is how to deal with the racial issues that inevitably show up. And
Sure.
it's way more, in athletics specifically, there's a whole lot more diversity than just the ethnic portion of it.
Sure. Absolutely.
There's religious differences. There's kids from the middle of nowhere America where their population is 300, and only because they had to say it's this amount of land space that we're going to consider this town, but there's really not 300 people in that town.
Yeah.
And then there's a kid coming from a high school where his class was bigger than 300 people, and so they have totally different experiences. And that's the beauty of athletics, is especially football, because when you take 100 and some guys from all parts of the country with all kind of different backgrounds,
Everything.
even socioeconomic different,
Sure.
you're talking about all kind of different sets of experiences, and you put them all together. They have to learn how to work together in order to attain the goals that they have stated are the ones that to achieve. They have to be able to find the commonalities between all of them, which is supposed to be, in that case, football, basketball, or whatever else, but they're supposed
Sure.
to do things and be able to work. And that's the reason that football players in general end up doing much better when they get a job in the quote unquote real world,
Yeah.
because they've already had to be able to relate to people that are dramatically different than them. So when they get hired into a new place and they start working, they've been exposed to people with way different opinions on individual
Everything.
than they have.
Yeah.
And they've learned how to communicate in spite of the differences, and still see value in that other person who has totally different opinion than them.
Would you say that's your kind of biggest, as being a coach, communication? Do you think that's one of the biggest, just most important aspects to kind of, like you just said, that relation and building that relationship with players and coaches?
It's a part of it, but truthfully, the biggest thing is that you let the players know that you care about them. And men in general don't like to say that they love somebody. And
you did all the time.
But that I would tell you I love you with hand gestures as often as I would tell you, and like it would make you laugh just like it did right now. And really, that was the whole point, because I wanted to make you smile so that you feel a little bit better about your day, because inevitably you're going to be in a class and it's going to be kicking the crap out of you that day, because whatever that particular subject is that you were studying, it got hard. And so your day wasn't going that great, but then when you saw me and I put a smile on your face, like, oh, it's a little better. This isn't so terrible. And you realized that all of that work was going to pay off for you eventually. And so you have to, it's really about love for real. Like the relationship doesn't happen without that.
Absolutely.
And lots of people want to call it a brotherhood or whatever because it's more manly and blah. Who cares?
Who
I
cares what you
just
call it?
don't. And I've been, I've been this way for a long time. And you talked about the challenge of COVID, and truthfully, I don't really care about COVID, and it hasn't changed how I am. Like I give guys hugs all the time, every day, anyway. Like, so what? I'm wearing a mask because my boss, the president of the institution, says that that's the school policy and what have you. So I'm like, I got a mask on anyway. So the mask is supposed to do what it's supposed to do according
Yeah.
told by the CDC and blah blah blah. So I'm okay to give them a hug according to all the things that they're telling us, and that's fine. Like, okay. And it's not like I'm hanging out next to them all day long,
Sure. No.
whatever. And to be very, very truthful about it, like almost our whole team has had COVID already. So,
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you almost can't. I mean, you can't prevent it from. It's impossible.
no,
It's
you're
virtually
absolutely
impossible.
right. We're literally, I mean, at one point we got shut down for a 2-week period this fall
Really.
in October because we had about 60 cases of COVID total. Yeah. And now at the time we had 130 guys on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a lot. Obviously that's a lot. And living here in the Central Plains portion of this country, yeah, people don't like to be told what to do a whole lot. So, there's not as much, like there's a mask mandate in the city, and maybe half the people wear them. Now,
Oh, I bet.
school have to wear them, and like Oklahoma is obviously right here. I mean, you can be there in 15 minutes. They just passed a thing where they no longer in school have to wear masks or any of that stuff. They're just going about life
Wow.
as
As is.
it's because people are just done with it. I mean, if
Tired. Yeah.
tell everybody here to shelter in place again, I don't know how that would be received, but received very well. I mean, it'd be bad
Yeah, I bet.
because there's a lot of free thinking people. And
I can imagine. Now, real quick too. So one thing that Terry and I have been kind of working on and talking with a lot of people about is mental health. And I was curious as to, with, I know it's COVID and everything. I don't know how much you guys been able to interact. It sounds like, pretty normal, but in the last year, events that happened back in May and June and everything, have you guys been able to do anything with mental health professionals? Have you guys as coaches tried to focus on anything?
well, whenever stuff like that happens, and we've had a few of those situations occur.
Sure.
We have professionals here on campus for that, and like, I'm not an expert, and you want me to talk about playing defense and coverage and how to fit up this scheme offensively and all that, I'm your guy. Okay. I'm not an expert when it comes to mental health by any stretch. And just like I'm not an expert when it comes to admissions or financial aid, I know enough to be, at least speak somewhat intelligently about all that stuff. But I'm going to guide you to go see the professional who literally
knows what the hell they're talking about
on mental health as I spend on how to stop our opposition and every opposition, because it's important to me, just like it's important to them, because I'm not an expert. I don't profess to be one. I want you to go to an expert so you can get the answers and whatever else that you need from them so that you can be good. Because ultimately the person or people are the most important.
it's interesting because, so I kind of want to ask you this real quick too. In light of, I'm curious as to how a college addressed some of these things, football, whatever. Back in November, we obviously had our presidential election and everything.
Yeah.
How did that kind of play out on a college campus as far as discussion, especially like you said, where you are specifically? How does that kind of come about?
Well, one of the things that I think is incredibly important as a professional is that you don't try to impart your political views upon anybody.
Sure.
And so, all I ever try to do is guide people towards information. And literally, like, if you asked me about anything related to the election, I would typically text you a link to all the issues and what each candidate's stance was on each issue.
Sure.
Because you need to be able to make your own decision off of the information available. And that's one of the things that is most important, in my personal opinion, in life in general, is to make the best decision for yourself. You need as much information possible in that moment in time so that you can weigh and measure all of that, so you can make the most informed, best decision for you as an individual possible. And I mean, that's that's my whole recruiting spiel, for goodness sake. I spend the entire time talking with young men about, I'm just trying to give you as much information as I can. And if we happen to be the school and I happen to be the coach who represents that place for you, and we have the kind of relationship that you think you need to be able to be successful and so on and so forth, then by all means, come on. If not, then you need to go to that other place that presents you more of the things that you're looking for, and go make that the right decision. Because there's no such thing, in my opinion, as a wrong decision. There's just a lack of effort on one's part to make that decision the right one. And what I mean is you could choose A or you can choose B. And if you chose B, that's fine. But now my job is to make B right and make B work. If I don't make B right and don't make B work, then, well, that was the wrong choice. Everyone say that afterwards, including yourself. But was it really the wrong choice? How do you know? Because if you didn't put forth the effort, well, isn't it a lack of effort that's the problem, not necessarily the choice?
I like that.
So whenever you make a decision, obviously you need the most information to make the best one that you believe in the most, because when it comes right down to it, if you don't believe in that choice, you won't work hard enough to attain it. That's what it goes. And so, the reason, like for me with recruiting, for example, because that's something I do all the time, and recruiting is sales. So it's very much transferable to other avenues of life.
Absolutely.
It's easy for me to sell me because I believe in me wholeheartedly and what have you. It's easy for me to sell what we're doing as a football program, because if it wasn't something that I believed in, I wouldn't be here, and so on and so forth. And that doesn't mean that there aren't parts that I just exclude in the process because I don't necessarily believe in them, and I can't sell them. So as a salesperson, if you believe in the product or the service that you're selling, you should be able to do a great job. And if not, then you're probably going to do a very Homer Simpson-like job, and it's going to be pretty pathetic and poor.
Yeah.
But you're still going to probably collect a paycheck, and then you're going to wonder why your life's really mediocre and so on. And well, because you do a mediocre job at what you're doing. So find something you truly believe in and pursue your passion for it and win.
Yeah.
I mean, that's life.
Bottom line. Yeah, that's the bottom line.
So
find that.
if you work, if it's something you feel strongly about and you have a passion for it, you'll pursue that with every fiber of your being until the end of the earth. And
Yeah.
that, so, back to the whole political stuff, I don't really try to say a whole lot because I have my own personal beliefs. If you were to ask me what those were, I would tell you straight up, I don't really give a damn what side you're on, left or right.
Yeah.
Funded by the same people, and those people are really the ones who make all the calls anyway. So you can choose whichever side you want to align yourself with if you want to, but really all you're doing is choosing whether you want to get screwed over by somebody in red or somebody in blue, because inevitably the people who actually fund all of that are the ones who are going to make all the calls.
All the calls at the end of the day. Yeah.
They got all the money. And you could say whatever you want related to that. There's 6 corporations who own 90% of the mass media market. And
that's a big thing too.
They're going to tell you whatever they want you to know and hear all day long. And inevitably, if you can look it up, there's 13 families that have 93% of the wealth in the world. And the rest of us fight for the 7% scraps. So, I mean, just do the math. It's not that tough to figure out. And I'm into totally different stuff right now. But
no, I know you're not. You're still on the right track. But
well, no, I just I mean, it's not what you were asking about. But
no.
Talking about that specific stuff related to politics. I mean, all those. I mean, we spent, what was it? 17 billion was spent on the presidential election.
Yeah.
I mean, what do we need to cure the homeless problem in the country? Close to that, probably more, but not by much. It's a lot of money, and it didn't like that was money that came from the federal government.
Yeah, exactly.
So, those people are not given money because they so strongly believe in an individual.
Yeah.
Sides. They're going, here, you can have this one and you can have that one.
That's it.
It's, so.
Yeah. No. I know what you mean. I mean, I know what you're alluding to, but before we kind of let you go here real quick, 2 things. One, so I did kind of want to ask you, have you ever had either player's family, whatever, question you for being a white coach? Have you ever had someone kind of come up to you and be like, man, I don't want you coaching my son. I don't think you're doing this, or anything like that, like based on not what you present yourself, but literally by how you look?
Not where they openly stated it.
Mm-hmm.
That, because obviously they had to be recruited. They had to have some level of belief. I won't even say trust necessarily, because trust is developed over time.
Over time, sure.
And through a lot of actions. But they had enough belief in my honesty to give me the opportunity. But you can tell through body language and the way people word questions and other mannerisms that there's some hesitancy to what they're looking at you as. And so, yes, I've experienced that, just not directly like that.
Sure.
Not as directly as you're talking about right now.
I mean, most people aren't that direct most of the time. Yeah.
And that's where I tend to win people over, because I'm literally
you're to the point.
Yeah, because I don't have time. Like, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that you took a left and I told you to take a right, but you took a left, and I'm not going to sit there and go, well, if you take another left and another left, you can get to that. Like, no, dude, like, take the damn right. Like,
yeah,
turn right quick and let's go. Because we don't have time for all those extra lefts. Like, by the time you get there, somebody's going to move your cheese. Like, you're not going to get there, so you're stuck. So, I just like, I'm very, very direct, very honest, and people inevitably, they, I kind of grow on them. I'm like a fungus, to be honest with you. I just kind of,
Yeah, you are.
and oftentimes, especially with young people, they don't understand everything that I'm telling them when I first told them, whatever it was. But as they gain experience in life, they start to understand more of the depth to the things that I've said.
100%.
And they start realizing that I wasn't just talking about one specific thing, and I was talking about life things, life
I mean,
experience.
I exactly. I mean, I think back to, I met you when I was 18, 19, and I was a jackass to say the least. I mean, I was barely going to class, messing around. I mean, really wasn't invested into football as much as I wanted to be. And kind of the one thing obviously that stuck with me is, the whole Gata of, get after that ass in whatever facet you're doing it. I mean, mine is obviously teaching now. I mean, elementary school teacher, but taking that into every single day of like, all right, this is exactly what I'm doing. This is exactly where I'm going. This is exactly what I need to do. So it's, at 18, 19, you kind of like, man, shut up. Like, stop. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah,
stop telling me this shit. And then at 26 now, it's, oh, that's what he meant.
yeah,
That
absolutely.
that's what he meant.
The Since I left St. Vincent, actually, there's a prayer, and you can find this on YouTube also. The Bear Bryant used to make the players at Alabama say, and I've given it to everybody since, because, well, the way it goes is, this is the beginning of a new day. God has given me this day to use as I will. I can waste it or use it for good. What I do today is important, as I am exchanging a day of my life for it. When tomorrow comes, this day will be gone forever, leaving something in its place I have traded for it. I want it to be gain, not loss, good, not evil, success, not failure, in order that I shall remember the price I paid for it. And that's literally how I start every day when I wake up. I
Love that.
wake up in my bed, and I say that prayer before I get out of bed, because I you maybe are starting to realize it at 26 now. The most precious commodity we have as an individual human being is our time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not infinite. Eventually, one day, I'm going to die. So are you and everybody else on this planet. And for every day and every second that I have, I want that day or that second to be lost on something worthy of losing it to.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to spend my day sitting around picking my nose and doing nothing of any significance, because I have no desire to just be a regular person who just coasted through life, floating along, being mediocre as can be, and what have you. I want to do, like, the things that I do, I want them to be memorable for
Mm-hmm.
myself, but for other people, so I can impact those individuals in a positive manner, in which they can therefore go on and impact a bunch of other people positively, and the
Yeah,
world can be a better place where people literally are achieving greatness
for sure.
and not being, just a number, and
Exactly. I mean, that kind of with the time thing. So I don't know. Probably back, it was probably the year or two after you had left St. Vincent. I don't know if you remember this, but you used to call me my nickname, which used to be colitis, right? Well,
yep,
fast forward a little bit, right? Talking about time. So going into my senior year at St. Vincent, that had gotten real bad. So I had lost 50 pounds. I was 180 pounds. I was in the hospital right after the football
yeah,
season. for about 3 months, not 3 months, probably about a month and a half. And, that whole time you're in the hospital, you're just thinking about that. Right. And it wasn't to the point where I was, maybe lose your life, but, they were close to taking out my intestines. So I was like, they were like, you're not going to be playing football next year. And, that not that I was so super invested in football, but you really think about that, like, oh,
yeah,
when I
you're
get out
losing
of
an
here,
opportunity.
that time, exactly that time you get out of there, and it's all like that right after that is right when what you used to preach was, right when that switch kind of went off in my head was like, oh shit, you don't have time to waste. There's no time to be messing around, doing this, doing that, chasing her, doing this, finding him. It's like, no, I'm going to football, chasing my degree, whatever it is. And, that's just, it
You
just
were
goes to
chasing
what
all
you
your
said.
goals. You were literally hunting down your goals and trying to attain every one of them at that point, because you realize at a certain point in life, hopefully everybody realizes that this is my stated goal. I'm declaring it as what I want, and I am willing to put the work in to attain it,
Mm-hmm.
period. Nothing, no, there's nothing that will stand in the way of me attaining what I said I was going to do. I said
Mm-hmm.
to do this. I'm going to do this. There's not, it doesn't matter what obstacles get in my way, what challenges I have to overcome. I'm going to figure out a way over, under, around, and through all of this to get to that end point, that end goal. And that's it. There's nothing more to it. There's a video you can find on YouTube too called, it's about the blue vase. And basically this dude doesn't let anything get in his way. It's like 27 minutes. It's long. It's a short movie, but it's phenomenal. This dude, it's set way back in the day, and it's just a test. And you either come up with the blue vase or you don't, and you find a way. And it doesn't matter. You have to find a way to win. And as long as you work and exhaust every possible avenue to attain that, you wake up the next day and you can look yourself in the eye, in the mirror, and go, you know what? I didn't get to that goal, but I can be damn proud of what I did do.
Exactly.
You can feel good about yourself. And, yeah, championships are awesome in athletics. They're obviously what you're striving for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there's only one national championship team at every level.
Every level.
There's only one state champion. There's only one conference champion. That's just what it is. That just means that there's a whole lot of teams that didn't attain it. That doesn't mean that the people that were on those teams that didn't attain their team goal didn't have things to be proud of.
Absolutely.
They also, the thing that you have to work to eliminate as a human in your life, in whatever endeavor you're pursuing, is being able to eliminate that doubt of, if I'd only done this, would I have been successful? Nah, skip that. Figure out how to solve your problems and overcome your challenges and win. Period. And
that's it.
There's no excuse. There's no nothing. We can all try to rationalize whatever we want, but inevitably, no matter how valid an excuse is, you're still using the excuse, and it's weakening your character.
Absolutely. Definitely. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on and talk to me. That was good stuff. I appreciate it. Enlighten me a little bit. I hope we stay in touch a little bit.
Oh, for sure. There's
sure.
No way that we won't stay in touch. I promise that. And if you got questions or what have you, the one thing that I'll say, and this is what I'll finish with, is, like, young people all think that they're supposed to have all the answers and be able to figure things out on their own and all that kind of stuff. And they feel oftentimes like they're not smart enough when they like I'm just not smart enough to figure this out. So there must be something wrong with me as the individual. There's nothing wrong with them. They don't have the experience. I'm not smarter than you are or anybody else that I've ever coached. I'm just not. I just have more experience.
Yeah.
And so all I'm doing is passing to you the things that I've experienced and the advice that I've been given and what have you from all those people. And in all honesty, if you can take all of your experiences with your life and take all of the advice that I've given you through my life and put them together, shouldn't you be able to end up with a more better product than me? Because you have your experiences. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I got mine plus yours, plus,
Hopefully.
Yeah,
I mean, if I did
absolutely.
my job and imparted all of those things upon you from my
sure.
experiences, then you should be able to have a better life than me. And that's my whole goal as a coach, as a mentor,
That's the
as
goal.
a human. I mean, that's what parents are trying to do with their kids. It's what coaches are trying to do with their players. It's what any mentor should be doing with anybody that they're trying to guide, to help them be better than they are currently. Like if anybody that I've ever been a mentor for isn't better than wherever I was in my life at the time that I was able to give them that information,
Mm-hmm.
then I didn't do a very good job, in my opinion. And that's literally how I look at everything and what have you is my job is to help everybody else to be better. And
I love that.
that's,
Should be everyone's goal.
Absolutely. If everybody worked to make everybody else's life a little bit better on a daily basis, we'd all have a heck of a lot better lives. And,
That's what we need right now.
Oh, no doubt. And I've been on my best behavior as far as the not being lazy with my language and whatever. But you know exactly how I would say most of this stuff if it was just you and me having a conversation too, because
Sure.
it's unbelievably direct and oftentimes most people would be awfully offended by it. But
No, not at all.
all sorts of honest with you, like if you got time to get offended by what people have to say to you, then
Mhm.
listen the point most of
Yeah.
it, because they're trying to get a message across that could potentially change your life.
Absolutely.
And if not, then what do you care what they had to say in the first place?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's great seeing you. Like
You too.
and I don't say great a whole lot, but literally it's great. No, I'm being serious because there's only one great football team on a yearly basis at every level. They get the trophy at the end.
Yeah.
But because we use great in this society right now a lot, and not just now, but for quite some time. And
Yeah, sure.
there's a lot of elite football teams. They're the ones who go to the playoffs or what have you. They're elite, no doubt. But there's only one great. And so
I appreciate that.
I'm telling you that being able to catch up with you right now and whatever, it's been great.
It
Literally.
has been, for sure.
Because
Definitely has. Well,
you look tremendous. You look like you're loving your job and what you're doing. And
trying.
in our conversations via text and otherwise, like I can tell that you really have a passion for what you're doing, and I love the fact that you're pursuing it. And
Yeah, that's it.
you're impacting the world one
Trying.
young person at a time, and it's pretty special, man. Really.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Real coach, we'll get home, see the family.
Oh, they're at dance and gymnastics, so I got about 2 hours of.
So you got things to do.
Absolutely.
All right, coach. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, you take care, Nick. I appreciate
you. You too, brother.
Love you, man.
You too. Love you.